All right, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube citizens, y'all know who this is. This is your boy Dash True Inferno. Back at it with another Throwback Tunes on another Thursday. And yes, I know I missed the last 2 weeks. Well, 2 weeks ago, it was the holidays, and I wanted to take some time off. And there you go with that. And then last week, there was the incident at the Capitol. And I had to cover that as I already had a video planned and released on Wednesday. So I had to release it on Thursday in place of this. But we are back with Throwback Tunes, even though I'm going to take a break next week. We are back with Throwback Tunes. So yeah, and we're going to pick up where we last left off, which is another Nate Dogg album. Second straight Nate Dogg album. This one is called Nate Dogg. So yeah, it's just straight up called Nate Dogg. So this is his eponymous third and final studio album. So what that means is this joint came out after he died. So here's the thing about this. This joint came out February 25th, 2003 as a bootleg. But it was, at some point in time, officially released as a digital-only album by Elektra Records later in the same year for a short period because it was shutting down its rap department. Even though technically, well, I mean, there are some rappers in this album, but it's technically a R&B album, but whatever, whatever. However, in 2006, Elektra gave it a re-release without much promo. Hard copies were never pressed for release, however. Some promo copies presented by, or pressed rather, by Elektra have surfaced. So, here's the deal with this one. So, despite the fact that this was a bootleg, and the hard copies were never pressed, and they only had promo copies, whatever the case may be, it had a special edition, which I find to be very odd. But before we get to that, let's look and see how well it did in the charts. So, oh, never mind. It didn't do well in the charts. It didn't even make the charts, so I apologize for that. So, with that out the way, let's look at the tracks now. So, and actually, no, before we do that, my bad. Let me mention the producers involved. It's been 2 weeks, so bear with me. All right, so we got Rock Router, High Tech, Bink, DJ Quick, Frederick, Timbaland, Scott Storch, The Mizza, Damizza, and Rick Rude. And that should be everybody on the list. Yes, that is. All right, now let's get to the tracks. So there's 17 tracks. The special edition, they added 3 more tracks. I'll talk about those in a second. But there's 17 tracks. 2 of them are skits. So I can give you guys a top 5, not a top 3. So here we go. The first track is called I Need a Bitch, featuring Armed Robbery. Expect to see that name a lot in this album, by the way. Second track is called Bad Girls, featuring Redman, followed by the only single off of this album, which is called Get Up, featuring Eve. Next up is Keep It Real, featuring Fabulous, Lil Mo, and Icarus, followed by Leave Her Alone, featuring Memphis Bleak, Freeway, and Young Chris. Next up is Hide It, featuring Armed Robbery, followed by Round and Round. Then we got Goddamn Shame, got with 2 T's, by the way, Gott, featuring Timbaland and Miss J. Then we got There She Goes, featuring Warren G and DJ Quick. Next up is Somebody Like Me. Then we got the first skit off the album, which is called Interlude Number 1. And then parentheses skit, obviously. Track number 12 is called I Got Game, featuring Snoop Dogg and, you guessed it, Armed Robbery. Track number 13 is called All Night Long, followed by Next Boyfriend, featuring Nocturnal. KNOC, subtraction line, whatever, TURN_AL, Nocturnal. Track number 15 is called The Hard Way, featuring Exhibit and Armed Robbery. Track number 16 is Interlude Number 2, which is the second final skit off the album, followed by Right Back Where You Are, which is the last track off the original version of this album. The special edition comes with 3 extra tracks, which is What Will You Do, the letter U, which is a bonus track, obviously, featuring Mariah Carey, Butch Cassidy, and Shay Sice. And I believe that originally is a Mariah Carey track. Track number 19 is called Walk a Mile, featuring Shay Sice, NUNE, which is abbreviated, I don't know who that is, Vita, and Barbara Wilson. And I believe this is a Shay Sice track originally. And the last track off the special edition is Dead Wrong, featuring Miss J. Now, I know for a fact that this is a Miss J track. I reviewed her album, and that song was a part of it. So that's why I figured, those last 3 tracks off the special edition were really in somebody else's album. So Mariah Carey, Shay Sice, and Miss J. So that's why I'm not going to include them here, not to mention the fact that they're special edition tracks and not the original. So let's talk about the single, Get Up. This joint came out February 4th, 2003. And the entire album was recorded in 2002. I forgot to mention that. And obviously it features Eve, and the song was produced by DJ Quick. So it did make the charts though. It was 81st on the US R&B/hip hop songs charts, 39th on the US Rhythm Top 40 charts as well. And there was no music video for this album, not one that I could find. Even though if you would have grabbed the single, track number 5 off the single is called Get Up, and in parentheses TV track. So it's possible that it could have had a music video, but apparently it did not, because again, I couldn't find it. I couldn't find one on YouTube or anything like that. So I'm gonna assume that there was no music video for this single. So with all that out the way, let's get on with the best tracks off this album from worst to first. Next Boyfriend is the worst track off this album. The tempo is borderline cool / really cool. Melody is cool, same with the bass and the kick. The clap snare combo were cool. Overall, the track is cool. Next up, Somebody Like Me. Tempo is really cool. The melody is cool, same with the bass and the kick and the snare. Overall, the track is just cool nevertheless. Next up, Leave Her Alone. Kind of sound like a Rockefeller type beat, real talk. The tempo is cool. The melody is borderline cool / really cool. The bass and kick were cool. The snare is really cool though. Overall, the track is still cool. Then we got Get Up. The beat pattern changed for a bit, like near the end of the track, and I'll be honest, it's cool, but it was unnecessary. You know, it was like they could have done it without it. But aside from that, the tempo is cool, the melody is cool, same with the bass. The kick is borderline cool / really cool. The snare is really cool though, but despite that, the track was just cool. Next up, The Hard Way. The tempo is really cool, the melody is cool, same with the bass and the kick. The snare is really cool. Overall, the track is cool. Then we got Goddamn Shame. The tempo is really cool, melody is cool, no bass hurts, I'll be honest. The kick is cool / really cool. The snare is really cool. Overall, the track is just cool. Then we got Keep It Real. The beat is somewhat fitted for a Little Mo / Fabulous, so it's that type of beat. Not to mention they end the track, so there you go. The tempo is really cool. The melody is borderline cool / really cool. The bass is straight as it needs more of it, and it needs to bang. The kick is cool. The snare is really cool. Overall, the track was just cool. The bass held it back a bit, if you ask me. Then we got I Got Game. The tempo is really cool. The melody is cool, same with the bass. The kick is really cool, same with the snare. The track is really cool despite the melody holding it back a bit. That one got some potential there. Then we got I Need a Bitch. Tempo is really cool. Melody is cool, same with the bass. The kick is really cool, snare is really cool. Overall, the track is really cool. Then we got Hide It. Tempo is really cool. Melody is cool. The sip bass is cool. The kick is really cool, same with the snare. Overall, the track is really cool. Now we can move on to the top 5 tracks off this album. The 5th best track off this album is called Right Back Where You Are. Tempo is cool. The melody / sample is really cool. The bass is cool, just need a bit more of it. The kick is really cool, same with the snare. Overall, the track is really cool. Then we got Bad Girls, the 4th best track off this album. The drum pattern is really cool. The tempo is really cool, same with the melody. The bass was just cool though. The kick is borderline cool / really cool. The snare is really cool. Overall, the track is really cool. The best track off this album, Round and Round. Drum pattern is really cool. Tempo is really cool. Melody was just cool though. The sip bass is borderline cool / really cool. The kick is really cool, same with the snare. Overall, the track is really cool. Second best track off this album, All Night Long. The tempo is really cool. Melody is really cool. The sip bass is borderline cool / really cool. The kick is really cool. The claps are really cool. Overall, this track is really cool. And the number 1 track off this album, There She Goes. This is a smooth joint right here. The tempo is excellent. The melody is really cool. The bass is really cool, but could be a bit louder though. Then it would have been excellent. The kick is borderline cool / really cool. Snare is really cool. Overall, this track is really cool. Without question, There She Goes is the best track off this album. So, unfortunately, there's no professional ratings for this album. So, let's just get on straight to it. What do I think about this album? I think it's a pretty good album. I'm going to give this album a 4.25 out of 5. I recommend you download it and you keep it. If you can somehow, hard copies wasn't really, that's all you can do for this. You could buy it digitally if that's available. But at the very least, I would say just download it and keep it. But even though there's a lot of great tracks on this album, there's nothing here that is legendary. And, there's nothing here that I heard that and I went like, oh yeah, I remember this. This is a classic. So there's nothing like that here. But despite that, there's a lot of great songs on this album. And it's worth the listen. It really is. It really, really is. And I'm going to call it a wrap. So with all that said, y'all know who this is. This is boy New Jack Ass Speak, aka the new Nate Smith. saying peace out, y'all, and I'll see y'all next time. Yeah.